Hey guys, welcome to When Spirit Talks. I'm your host, Stefanie Ruth. Now let's dive into spirituality because when spirit talks, it's time to listen. In today's episode, we talk about 10 different benefits of Reiki for children, whether children can learn to do Reiki, and how to encourage them to connect with their intuition. I was already undergoing my spiritual awakening before I decided to have a child of my own. I always prioritize self-growth and bettering myself, so I spent several years doing that, unlearning all of the unhelpful things that I learned as a child and a young adult, unlearning all of the things that were keeping me stuck. So by the time I decided I was ready to be a mom, I was already a Reiki Level 2 practitioner. I ended up receiving my Reiki Master certification the weekend I intuitively discovered that I was pregnant. I was doing some self-Reiki and got confirmation when I felt a second heartbeat at my sacral chakra. It was different than my own heartbeat, and in that moment, I knew that I was pregnant even though I hadn't taken a pregnancy test yet. And I knew that that was the heartbeat of the little one growing inside me. To this day, I say that my child also received that Reiki attunement, which I absolutely love. Being a new mom is really challenging. I was working full-time, I had my spiritual business, and I was dealing with emergency C-section pain and recovery. I was also running on no sleep, and anyone who knows me knows that I need at least 8 to 9 hours a night to function. Reiki did help me through some tough times. If you listen to my podcast episode on Reiki, you know that Reiki is helpful for adults, pets, and children. Since my daughter was born, I made it a part of our routine to give her Reiki each night. It was the one thing that calmed her down during her witching hour, which was always between 4 to 6 p.m. every night. I set specific intentions each night, all focused on expanding her wellness and well-being. Throughout the years, I felt Reiki helping her work through physical and emotional issues. The beautiful thing about Reiki for children is that they soak it up. They literally soak it up. Energetically, they are not bombarded with all of the debris and walls that we have as adults. So they quickly receive, integrate, and benefit from Reiki in more ways and faster ways than we do. Since children are going through huge shifts in growth, change, and learning, Reiki helps them to deal with these changes in a more balanced and peaceful way. So here are 10 benefits for Reiki for children. Number 1. An increased ability to manage their emotions. So children don't quite know how to express or understand their emotions, especially if they're very young. All of that emotional energy tends to get stifled and it clogs up their subtle energy system. Those highly charged emotions are often the ones that lead to those big temper tantrums. And they're very difficult for children to manage. So Reiki helps to quiet down all of that overactive emotional energy. Number 2 is an improvement in sleep. So I remember when my daughter was a newborn, and for a while, actually several months, I needed to wake her up every 2 hours to feed her because she was really, really tiny. And so the doctor had me wake her up. That impacted her ability to get a solid night's sleep for a few years because that sleep pattern wasn't built in. Children need their sleep. They process everything that they've learned and they grow when they're sleeping. When they don't sleep well, it impacts everything from their health to brain development to emotional regulation. Reiki helps children improve their sleeping habits, and it helps them to sleep more deeply and peacefully. Children can get Reiki when they're playing or sleeping. It's always interesting when I'm setting distance Reiki and the parents report that the child began stirring in their sleep when the Reiki was being integrated. Let's move to number 3, which is reduced anxiety and irritability. Again, this goes back into those emotions and the sleep. Overactive emotional energy in the subtle energy system can lead to anxiety and irritability in children, just as it does with adults. I've had parents report that their child is much more emotionally regulated following our sessions. Number 4 is being better able to deal with changes in routines. Now, some children love routines. As a pediatric speech-language pathologist who helps children learn to talk and communicate, I know how beneficial it is to have routines. but I also know how important it is for children to be able to follow changes in routines. Some children can become really upset when their routine is changed, and it can lead to some meltdowns and communication challenges. So Reiki can help to increase resilience and openness to new experiences. Number 5 is a calmer disposition. Reiki promotes peace, balance, and calm, and this is almost always reported after a Reiki session. Number 6 is faster healing. So Reiki speeds up healing time for physical healing for things like teething, tummy aches, surgery, and illnesses. As I mentioned, Reiki is offered in many hospitals throughout the USA as holistic care is becoming more prevalent. It's a good way to complement your traditional medical care. Number 7 is improved communication. Again, as a speech pathologist, I know how difficult it is for parents when their child has a hard time communicating. Reiki can help balance the throat chakra, our energy center for communication. I've had several children receive huge gains in their receptive and expressive language development after working with them by sending distance Reiki. Number 8 is the release of energetic debris. So we are all surrounded by energy, and as adults, we have most likely found ways to cope with it, but it's more difficult for kids. Reiki helps to remove excess energetic debris away from their energy field to keep their energetic system remaining at a higher and healthier frequency. Number 9 is the release of cellular memories during birth or during challenging situations. I teach this advanced Reiki technique and I use it if something significant comes up for healing. Our body remembers the things that we've been through, even when our mind does not. So I've had numerous past events come up for healing when working with children. I had a session where a child had a really severe fear of water, which ended up being tied into a situation with his birth. I then had another client who had difficulty separating from his parent, and we ended up being able to get to the core issue behind that and working through some of those deep-rooted fears. Reiki will gently release these memories and allow the body to be at a better place to heal itself. Number 10 is increased attention and focus. Little minds are always full of new ideas. Reiki helps to balance the third eye and crown chakras, allowing for more focus and improved attention as children learn and always expand their center of knowledge. I had a family tell me one day that they noticed huge improvement in their toddler's ability to sit and concentrate after the sessions. Now let's move on to teaching children Reiki. It is possible to teach Reiki to children. You do want to make sure that they're open to it and that they can understand some of the more simple concepts and that they are of school age and ready to learn. When my daughter was old enough and she showed interest, I ended up teaching her a kid's version of Reiki. I made a child-friendly manual and taught her the process of Reiki being pure love. If you're a Reiki master and are drawn to work with children, I have the manual that I created for teaching children on my Etsy shop. I'll leave that information in the show notes. I tell children that when they learn Reiki, they could place their hands on their stomach, their heart, or their legs and practice self-Reiki if they're ever feeling scared, nervous, or in need of comfort. It helps give them a new way to deal with their emotions, their fears, and any pain from injuries. Children are often really open to learning new things, sitting in the vibration of peace and love, and Reiki is the perfect way to give them a new way of dealing with life's journey. The other thing that children are really good at is tuning into themselves. They don't overthink or second guess the way adults do. So when you begin to teach children to connect and listen to their intuition, it's a much easier process for them. You can make them aware of their inner compass and their center of intuitive feeling. Give them praise and support when they share what they notice and encourage them to follow their gut. Natural consequences will play into this as well, but having encouragement and support as they navigate the relationship with their intuition is really helpful. This will only help them as they move through experiences with friends and school. Along with this is an importance to give children their independence and allow them to tune into their own feelings. It's okay to ask them their opinion. Ask them to check in with themselves. Let them figure themselves out. Let them hear what their body, mind, and spirit is saying. And if they feel comfortable, they can share that with you. Now that my daughter is a bit older, I'll often ask her if she needs Reiki. If she says yes, I'll ask her where she wants it. And if she says no, I listen. She's learned to tune into her body and respond to those inner cues. It's important to give them some control and independence so they can strengthen their own intuitive connection. Now, in terms of having children connect with their own guides, this is really a family thing, a family preference. But you can talk to them about your own spiritual beliefs and allow your child to determine what they resonate with. If they're interested, you can have them pray with you, or you can talk to them about angels and the signs that they leave us. Again, you want to meet them where they're at. This includes developmentally and emotionally. Being accepting of their thoughts and feelings is paramount to building a supportive connection that can grow and change as they grow and change. So I'd love to hear whether you've tried incorporating Reiki into your child's wellness routine. Send me a DM on Instagram to let me know. And to learn more about how to work with me, visit the information in the show notes. Until then, thanks for listening.